Revealed. How my sister's shocking car purchase drained my house fund and uncovered family secrets. Jonah sat at his cluttered desk, rain pattering against the window like an endless metronome. Mortgage rates sprawled before him, each percentage point a thread in the tapestry of hope he was weaving. After years of laboring over textbooks while managing student loans that felt like relentless chains, he was mere moments from breaking free. The white picket fence that embodied his dreams was within reach, a promise of stability he coveted for his young family. His fingers raced across the page, scribbling down plans, kitchen layouts, backyard gardens, visions of a life meticulously crafted. But just as that ripple of hope surged through him, his phone buzzed. "Jonah, I did something." Andrea's voice was breathless, laced with both excitement and urgency. Jonah's heart sank. Andrea, the vivacious sister with the larger-than-life personality, had a knack for turning every moment into an event. What could it possibly be this time? "What did you do?" he asked cautiously, the unease settling in. "I bought a brand new car," she chirped, the delight in her voice slicing through the air like a knife. Jonah blinked, disbelief washing over him. "A luxury car? The kind that came with a hefty price tag?" The air around him thickened. He stared at the mortgage paperwork, the numbers shifting and blurring as panic gripped his chest. This was not just a careless purchase. It was a betrayal that scuttled the dreams he had nurtured so carefully. His house fund sacrificed for a shiny, frivolous token of whimsy. His mind raced with questions. Didn't Andrea understand the stakes? Didn't she see how long he'd fought for a chance to break the cycle of financial struggle? He thought of their father, a man who chased the American dream only to watch it slip closer and closer with each poor decision. Did Andrea care at all? "It's so gorgeous, Jonah. You'll love it." Her voice was light and carefree, but each word felt like nails on a chalkboard. "Love it? You just drained my house fund." "This isn't a joke, Andrea." The words burst out of him, but he could feel the anger wrapped in confusion. Was it fair to lash out? Was this her fault or a symptom of something deeper? Before they could descend into another round of bickering, Jonah's thoughts tumbled into memories, dredging up the weight of their family legacy, shaped by their father's unfulfilled dreams and burdens. Choking on frustration, he envisioned Andrea's car a symbol of defiance against everything they'd been raised to value, against the sacrifices their father had made. "Do you even realize what this means?" Jonah felt his voice rise, raw and trembling. "You're living like we're on a never-ending vacation. It's not a joke. You think our family is just cruising through life without consequences?" Silence hung heavy, laden with unspoken truths. Then, he saw at the glint in her eyes, something deeper than he'd expected. A flicker of realization swept through him. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Jonah's heart raced as Andrea's expression shifted from defensiveness to something much more vulnerable, like she had been disarmed. "You think I don't care? You think I'm just throwing money away?" In that garage with the sleek car shining before them, shards of their childhood and their father's lingering presence ignited a confrontation neither had anticipated. Jonah confronted the tumult of feelings buried deep within, and suddenly, his aspirations felt precarious, dangling from the edge of understanding. What did it mean to strive for a home when family ties were tinged with complicity and regret? Jonah clenched his jaw, wrestling with the dual forces of love and resentment. A question reverberated in his mind. Could he ever forgive Andrea? And more importantly, could he forgive himself for feeling anything other than loyalty? The air between them crackled with tension. With their history laid bare, Jonah stood staring at the car, a beautiful facade cloaking a legacy of pain. The stakes had shifted, and the true meaning of success now lay hidden just out of reach. Jonah's mind was a whirlpool of confusion and frustration. He blinked at the car, a machine that represented not only his sister's impulsiveness, but everything he had worked tirelessly to achieve. The allure of its sleek lines contrasted sharply with the stark reality of his financial plans, now thrust into chaos. Every component of his carefully laid out future felt unmoored, as though he were watching his dreams slip through his fingers like grains of sand. The silence between them was palpable. Jonah struggled to find the words, driven by a maelstrom of feeling betrayal, anger and oddly, a flicker of sympathy for Andrea. Despite all the pain her decision had caused him, there was a nagging thought haunting his mind, a whisper clamoring for recognition. Perhaps this was not just about the car. "What's going on with you?" Jonah finally blurted out, the frustration shifting to curiosity. "This feels bigger than a car purchase." Andrea's eyes darted as though she was caught in a web of her own making. "It's not just about the car." Her voice quivered, a vulnerable admission painted across her features. "I thought maybe if I made this leap I could begin to break away from our past. From everything we've been trying to escape." Jonah's heart sank. Her words unwrapped the layers of tension between them. "Escape?" He echoed, his tone softer. "You think buying a car will help you escape?" "It's not just any car," she asserted, taking a step closer, her fervor blooming into desperation. "It's a chance to stand on my own. I'm tired of waiting for the world to change. This is my declaration. I exist and I want something different." As bold as her claim sounded, Jonah couldn't help but feel the weight of regret pooling in his stomach. He felt the urge to shake her back to grounded reality but realized that wouldn't help either of them. Instead, he inhaled deeply, attempting to channel his swirling emotions into something constructive. "What if we took a moment to unpack why this decision feels so pivotal for you? And what if I said I just wanted to have fun for once?" Her arms crossed defensively, but there was a plea for understanding behind her bravado. "Can't you see that all we do is work and never enjoy what life has to offer?" Jonah felt an ache for the carefree innocence of their childhood. Somehow, amidst the responsibilities of adulthood, he had forgotten there was also joy to be found, moments worth celebrating, not just enduring. "You're right," he admitted, surprising himself. "But locking us further into debt isn't the answer either. We can't afford to ignore our dreams while we chase pleasure. We need to balance both." Andrea's shoulders relaxed a fraction. "What are you suggesting?" "Let us forge a new path," he stammered, visions of compromise emerging in his mind. "This car let us reevaluate. It represents you rebelling against conformity, but maybe we can find a way to achieve your dreams without jeopardizing mine." Her gaze sharpened. "You mean a used car? Or payment plans? The kind of planning you are so good at?" "Yes. Why not? It's not about giving up your dreams. It's about finding solutions that fit our realities." Jonah felt something shift as he spoke, a burgeoning idea unraveling within him. Perhaps he was not only addressing Andrea's impulsiveness, but also confronting his feelings of inadequacy, facing the fear of being trapped in a rigid existence. The environment around them began to feel less suffocating. He considered their individual aspirations converging to forge a new family narrative, one not steeped in the failures of their past, but in radical acceptance and chosen collaboration. As Andrea's lips curled into a tentative smile, Jonah knew they were beginning to step onto that uncharted path. "Let's talk choices," he proposed, seeking to bridge the gap between their divergent perspectives. But moments later, a notification buzzed from Jonah's phone, breaking the fragile tension between them. It was from a mortgage broker. He hesitated, a flood of anxiety breaking the newfound calm. "This is about the house," he murmured, panic creeping back into his expression. The stakes were intensifying once more. Would their fragile truce survive the revelation waiting on the other side of that message? The answer loomed as they both glanced at the phone, the weight of their decisions pressing down on them like the looming rain outside. Jonah stared at the screen, his breath catching as a cold snap of realization unfurled in his gut. The mortgage broker's words seeped through the haze of anxiety. "Time-sensitive opportunities can only help if you're ready for the commitment." A commitment that felt increasingly unattainable. "Jonah?" Andrea's voice punctured through his frozen state. He glanced up, meeting her expectant gaze. The car, once a symbol of rebellion, now paled in comparison to the looming financial reality. "What did they say?" He hesitated, processing the weight of both their dreams and the potential fallout. "It's about the house. And the market is shifting even more than I anticipated." His voice cracked, steeped with uncharacteristic uncertainty. "Shifting?" She echoed, her expression morphing into genuine concern. "How bad is it?" Bad enough that if I don't act soon we could lose out on a place that's within our budget. Jonah's heart raced as he felt the familiar sting of desperation, compounded by the recent conversation with Andrea. They had approached this moment as equals, yet the looming prospect of disappointment felt like a heavy mantle he couldn't share. Andrea took a tentative step towards him, the earlier charge fading. What does this mean for the house? It means we need to reevaluate everything, our finances, our decisions, even how we're working together, he admitted, each word a retraction of their earlier aspirations. If this purchase is draining our savings, we need to find another way forward. The flicker in Andrea's eyes suggested a deeper realization than mere annoyance. We could look at other options, right? Or maybe a delay. Jonah glanced at the phone, a damning reminder of the purchase that now tethered her hopes to him. It might be too late for that. The more we delay, the more we risk losing our chance. A frown twisted on her lips, frustration mixing with something else, a hint of vulnerability. You can't just shut me out and think I'll be okay with it. We're supposed to navigate this together. You can't carry everything on your own. Her challenge felt like a festering wound, and Jonah bristled at the truth slicing through her words. You made the choice to go forward with the car without consulting me. We are not together on this. You took that leap, and now it's pushing us further apart. The outburst felt cathartic and agonizing all at once. He could taste the bitterness of resentment mingling with concern. And you think I wanted this? I thought it would help. I thought I could show you. She paused, collecting herself, that I could make decisions too. I can't always be at the mercy of our past. Jonah felt the flicker of her rebellion crackle in the silence. It wasn't just about the car, or even the house. It was about shifting dynamics, unearthing their long-buried aspirations, braving vulnerabilities. Something within him shifted. Perhaps understanding didn't just stem from compromise, but from accountability. What if we created a joint finance plan? He proposed, the idea solidifying as he spoke. A clear structure for both the mortgage and your dreams? We could set aside a budget for your desires without dismantling the foundation we desperately need. Her brows furrowed, considering the potential. Are you sure we can do that? Wouldn't it worsen our current situation? Any change comes with risk, Jonah countered. But it's a calculated risk I'm willing to take if it means we can redefine what success looks like without losing everything. As they stood together at the intersection of hope and fear, Jonah realized strength lied not merely in planning and structure, but in the courage to trust in each other's proposals. Perhaps by navigating the peculiar contours of their lives, they might discover new pathways, ones that didn't forsake their individual dreams. Before either of them could respond, Jonah's phone buzzed again. A follow-up from the mortgage broker. Anxiety washed over him anew. Would this lead to clarity, or simply tighten the knot of uncertainty? He took a deep breath, prepared to confront whatever revelation awaited. What if this changes everything? He whispered, uncertainty flashing in his eyes. Andrea held his gaze, determination flickering in the depths of their connection. But just as swiftly, concern shadowed her expression. Then maybe we need to brace ourselves for the truth even if it's not what we want to hear. Jonah felt the weight of Andrea's gaze press down on him as he hesitated, the phone in his hand suddenly feeling like a ticking time bomb. He could sense the trepidation emanating from her. Their previous discussion laid bare in the vulnerable space between them. The prospect of facing a harsh reality loomed larger than the mortgage broker's words itself. Hello? The broker's voice crackled through the speaker, jerking Jonah from his thoughts. Jonah, I've gone through your application, and we need to discuss some changes based on your recent financials. Changes? The notion sent a jolt of anxiety racing through him. Was this the moment his fears crystallized into certainty? What kinds of changes? Your debt-to-income ratio is not in a favorable position right now given the recent loan additions. Each word hit him with the clarity of a laser beam, exposing financial chasms he had hoped to avoid. Jonah felt trapped between the decline of opportunity and the dimming of his dreams. His stomach twisted as the words echoed around his mind. Was he being foolish for wanting more? Andrea, can you give me a moment? He asked, his voice more strained than he intended. She nodded, her concern evident but tempered by respect for his need for space. He turned his back slightly, shielding her from witnessing his growing panic. I understand, the broker continued, but if you can demonstrate a clear repayment plan, You might be able to improve your standing before this gets worse. Perhaps a reevaluation of your investments is in order. Investments, Jonah echoed softly, a spark igniting deep within him. He hadn't considered that. Investing in their future meant understanding their current interests and dangers better. He ended the call feeling a wave of dual anxiety and determination. Stepping back towards Andrea, he saw confusion etched on her features. The display of their financial terrain seemed even more chaotic now. We've got to come together on this, he said firmly, commitment lining his voice. But? She challenged, crossing her arms as she leaned against the car. What if we not only lay down a joint finance plan but involve each other in our professional plans as well? I could use your insights on expanding my side project, perhaps even give it more structure if you're willing to join forces, Jonah proposed, unveiling a new avenue. Her intrigue softened the sharpness in her expression. You seriously want to pull me into your project? Why not? We're navigating financial security together. Might as well align our ambitions. The idea flowed from his mind like a rushing stream. We could balance each other out. Your creativity could enhance my project's reach. We could tackle this as a team. Andrea uncrossed her arms, her defenses thawing as curiosity gleamed in her eyes. Maybe if we set some boundaries, this is still about the house and our commitments. Absolutely. This isn't a distraction. This could actually empower us to fund the mortgage plan, buffer our interests, then reallocate remaining funds. Jonah's voice gained momentum. If we can draw out the risks and set manageable goals together, we could redefine how we tackle this weight over us. His own vision invigorated him, each word pushing against the suffocating uncertainty that had settled in since that terrible call. The uneasiness about their finances shifted into a challenge ripe with possibility. Andrea shrugged. I'm in as long as we stay true to our primary goal. But how do we kickstart this? They exchanged ideas, sparking enthusiasm and excitement that felt alien, yet comforting. The conversation surged forward, and for the first time in days, Jonah could see a clearer path laid out before him. The shadows of their individual decisions began to dissipate, revealing potential for collaboration instead. Suddenly, Jonah's phone vibrated once again. His heart jolted, suspicion and hope colliding. Another call? Who now? Andrea asked, crossing her arms tightly again. Jonah glanced down, the caller ID displaying a name he recognized all too well yet hadn't spoken to in years. The urgency of the moment gripped him, suspicion twisting his stomach anew. He pressed accept, uncertainty creeping in once more. This could change everything, couldn't it? Andrea's expression turned apprehensive, shadows returning. It seemed their plans for reassurance were once again on the precipice of upheaval. Would this revelation draw them closer together, or send them spiraling into chaos again? The moment Jonah pressed accept, a familiar voice broke through the static. It was his sister, Claire. His tension thickened the air between him and Andrea. Hey Jonah, I hope I'm not interrupting anything important, Claire began, her tone light, but Jonah could sense the undercurrent of unease. No, just discussing some financial plans, he replied, suppressing the urge to snap. Claire had her own track record of irresponsible financial decisions. This wasn't the time for pleasantries. Oh, perfect. I wanted to run something by you. She didn't seem to detect his irritation. Jonah pinched the bridge of his nose, focusing on her words despite the irritation racing through him. I just bought a new car. A flash of disbelief sparked inside Jonah, morphing into a weighty dismay. Their family had always exhibited a troubling cycle of financial irresponsibility, and here she was adding to it. A new car? Seriously, Claire? You know I'm trying to figure out how to keep my house. Yeah, but this was a good deal. You always said I should invest in myself. The justification rang hollow. Plus it's used and in great shape. Great mileage. Invest in yourself? Jonah felt a surge of frustration. What do you think that means? This isn't a discussion about finding bargains at the mall. We're talking about actual financial stability. Why are you getting so upset? I thought you'd be happy for me. She responded, defensiveness creeping into her voice. Jonah paused. Explaining the reality of their financial situation felt futile. He wondered if she understood the stranglehold family spending habits had on them. You know, Mom and Dad expect us to be responsible. We can't just make decisions without considering the consequences. Maybe that S part of the problem. Claire's voice softened. You're always so concerned, so focused on managing everything. Sometimes you forget to live. I needed this car to feel more independent. Her words struck him, a painful mirror to his own life. It had become easier to drown in spreadsheets and projections than to engage with the uncertainties of life. But right now he wasn't just managing finances, he was wrestling with the weight of family expectations. Independence doesn't come from a purchase, Claire. It comes from financial responsibility, he argued, begrudgingly aware that he was preaching to the choir. The edgy silence from the other end signaled that perhaps he had pushed too hard. Maybe you need to lighten up a little, Jonah, Claire suggested, a hint of sadness in her tone. You hold everything too tightly. This isn't just about money. It's about family too. Jonah clenched the phone, uncertainty flooding back, a swell beneath the surface. Did he have room to balance financial acuity and connection? Was he sacrificing family bonds on the altar of fiscal prudence? After a long pause he forced out, what did you really call to tell me? I can't help but feel there's more to it. Okay, she sighed. I wanted to tell you a lot has changed. Mom told me some things. Her words trailed off, and Jonah felt an eerie chill run down his spine. Like what? He pressed, his heart racing as various scenarios churned in his mind, each loaded with potential upheaval. Family secrets, she whispered, barely audible. You're going to want to sit down for this one. The air around Jonah grew heavier, the swell of tumult distorting their small dining table in his mind. He exchanged a glance with Andrea, whose expression mirrored his own puzzles catching in the web of their evolving lives. Claire, just tell me. The urgency filled his voice, urgency that felt both thrilling and terrifying. What could this mean not only for their family dynamics but also for his plans with Andrea? I think it's time you knew who really holds a part of your financial future. As soon as she spoke those words, Jonah felt the ground beneath him shift. Clarity intermingled with shadows of doubt, each vying for control of his responsibility-laden heart. What was she about to reveal? And how would it affect his budding partnership with Andrea at such a critical juncture? The word financial future echoed ominously in Jonah's mind. He blinked hard, trying to ward off the swell of anxiety that followed Claire's revelation. The tumult within him blurred the visual landscape of his small dining area, where Andrew sat, unshed words spiraling between them. What kind of secrets could be so impactful, so unsettling? Claire, he urged quietly, I need to know. What do you mean? The words hung, heavy with tension, as a silence ensued, stretching on for an eternity, causing Jonah's pulse to quicken. Did she mean that the financial bind he had placed himself in was about to unravel in some way he had never anticipated? A flicker of anger stirred in him, the thought of past mistakes haunting his present made it hard to breathe. Claire hesitated, the vulnerability in her voice palpable over the line. Just promise me you'll try to stay calm. The information could change everything. Jonah braced himself, an involuntary flinch coursing through him. He needed to remain composed for Andrea's sake. She had already become entwined in this whirlwind of familial chaos, and he couldn't afford to detract from the delicate balance they were trying to forge. Jonah's mind raced, chasing down the threads of what Claire might reveal. Questions played like a loop. Had their parents hidden something significant about their finances? Was there more debt lurking beneath the surface that might erase everything he had worked hard to establish? Claire, I don't know if I can promise anything. Just tell me, Jonah insisted, the tension in his tone unmistakable. Okay, she sighed, the sound reverberating as if she were bracing for a crash landing. Mom told me that some investments they made a long time ago, well, they're maturing now. But there's also a string attached. A trust fund. Our great-uncle was involved and we are tied to it somehow. Jonah's head spun. A trust fund? He felt a mix of disbelief and annoyance. Why hadn't he known about this before? Was it real or just wishful thinking? Part of him yearned for a lifeline, while another part grappled with the potential weight it could impose. He could sense Andrea's eyes on him, pregnant with curiosity yet haunted with doubt. No longer just a spectator, she would have stakes in potential family revelations that could alter their shared vision. Do you think there's enough for me to save my house? To finally break this cycle? Claire paused, and Jonah could almost hear her weighing the implications of her next words. There might be, but you have to talk to Mom and get the details directly. She was upset about some things that happened in the past. I don't think she's ready to share it all. Upset? About what? Jonah felt the anger flare again, mingling with fear. The prospect of a trust fund felt overshadowed by the dread of more family secrets. The family dynamics, the decisions that were made. I think it's broader than that, Claire said, her voice softening but now tinged with a newfound resistance. You're not just looking at money, Jonah. You're looking at why we've been disconnected as a family. Her words struck him anew, a wave of guilt turning his features cold, tightening the knot in his stomach. Did he prioritize financial stability at the expense of family relationships? Had focus morphed into obsession, pushing him into isolation? Jonah breathed out, the reality settling in. I can't handle more emotional weight right now. I've got to manage my relationship with Andrea too. This is all happening so fast. Then you need to face your fears, Claire urged, her tone changing to one of resolve. Or you might lose more than just financial stability. If you want to build a future with Andrea, you need to bring her into your family's narrative. As Jonah stared into the void of uncertainties, he felt an unexpected resolve bubbling beneath the surface. I can't keep running from this. I need to understand. The dialogue had shifted. Clarity was emerging through the chaos. The pieces might be scattered, but perhaps he could begin to construct something solid from them. Understanding his family's legacy, both its burdens and blessings, could redefine his path forward. Fine, Jonah said, his voice firmer now. I'll reach out to Mom. In that moment, as they exchanged final words, Jonah recognized that he stood on a precipice. His next decision could redefine not only his relationship with Andrea, but also repair his fractured sense of self within the family. With the mutations of past decisions looming ahead, he steeled himself for the imminent confrontation, one that could unravel long-buried truths, while simultaneously forging a new connection. Claire, he stated, conviction etched in every syllable, I need you to be ready for where this leads. I suspect this journey is important, and much deeper than I ever prepared for. As they ended the call, Jonah felt an electrifying tension, a sensation he had long dismissed, bracing him for the unknown. Little did he know how profound those family revelations truly would be, how they were about to challenge everything he thought he knew about responsibility, investment, and love. Would he uncover the truth behind family bonds buried in financial woes? Or was he venturing into a Pandora's box that held more than he was prepared to face? Jonah leaned against the back of his chair, the familiar contours of the dining room now a backdrop to his swirling thoughts. While the evening light waned, a burgeoning determination infused him. He needed clarity. Reaching out to his mother had become a necessity, not just to investigate the elusive trust fund, but to bridge the emotional chasm formed by years of neglect. This was larger than mere finances. It was about family wounds, healing, and reconciliation. With his heart pounding, he pulled out his phone, fingers hovering over his mother's name. He could feel anxiety gnawing at the edges of his resolve. Conversations about money were already fraught, so how would this one unfold? Every instinct told him to tread carefully. But even more compelling was the need for honesty to rid the air of the toxic secrets that had festered far too long. What would he say? The weight of approaching this topic with his mother felt immense. 100 scenarios flashed through his mind, each one more daunting than the last. Yet, amidst the trepidation, a small voice within urged him to press forward. You can handle this, he whispered under his breath. Jonah took another breath and pressed call. The ringing felt interminable, each second stretching as he braced for an answer. Finally, her voice came through, warm yet cautious. Jonah, is everything okay? Hi, Mom. Jonah paused, the knot tightening again. I want to talk to you about family finances. Claire mentioned something about a trust fund. I need to know more. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. He imagined her brow furrowing, confusion likely washing over her. A trust fund? She echoed, hesitating. I thought you didn't want to discuss family matters. He took a gamble, leaning into the honesty that had felt absent for far too long. I need to understand our family's situation. Claire mentioned that there's more to this than just money. We've been disconnected for too long. Please, can we talk? Silence hung heavily, but Jonah sensed a shift in her tone. All right, she finally said. But let us meet in person. These discussions are complicated, and I'd rather not have this over the phone. A wave of relief washed over him, but it was intertwined with concern. Meeting face to face would require more emotional stamina, deepening the potential for vulnerability. How about tomorrow? Jonah suggested, expertly concealing the dread swirling inside. Okay, she agreed, her voice steadier now. Tomorrow at the cafe we used to go to? Sounds perfect, Jonah replied, though uncertainty prickled at the back of his mind. After the call ended, clarity blended with anxiety, sparking a sense of urgency within. He had taken the first step, yet the true challenge lay ahead. There was still the matter of Andrea. She needed to be woven into this narrative. Every personal investment they had made together would be affected by what he uncovered tomorrow. As night enveloped the world outside, Jonah's mind began to spiral down a path of potential breakthroughs or disastrous confrontations. Past regrets replayed like an old film reel, blurring memories of lost connections and unspoken apologies. Could he truly confront the family dynamics that had kept them apart? While he pondered, he caught sight of Andrea's reflection in the window, sipping tea, absorbed in a book. She had her own struggles, burdens he had tried to shoulder alone. The thought of dragging her into this tumultuous family saga weighed heavily, yet he understood that honesty was paramount for their future. Jonah found himself pacing, feeling the tug of war between fear and purpose. There was a flicker of hope intertwined with the anxiety. Maybe, just maybe, truth could bring them closer, mend old wounds and reforge ties with the past. He felt the urgency growing whatever revelations awaited. This was his moment to redefine not just his family bonds but the foundation of his own identity. As he settled down, exhaustion washed over him. He knew morning would bring revelations. He was ready to confront the tangled truths of his family's legacy. Would the journey lead to healing? Or would it uncork a deeper tragedy woven into the fabric of their lives? He closed his eyes, apprehension and resolve swirling together, awaiting the dawn of his impending confrontation. Jonah awoke with the sun filtering through the curtains, piercing through the fog of sleep and pulling him into the reality of the day ahead. His heart raced as he sat up, the weight of impending confrontation suffocating yet charged with an unmistakable electricity. He had a singular goal, understanding his family's financial landscape to free himself from the shadows of neglect. Dressing hurriedly, Jonah's mind raced with the possible outcomes of the meeting. He wanted to be fortified, strong against any emotional volley his mother might unleash. Preparing for battle or perhaps a difficult dialogue felt essential. As he departed from their apartment, he made a silent vow to remain composed, to decipher truth from half-truths, and to emerge with a clear perspective on the trust fund and its implications. The cafe was quaint and familiar, a place filled with echoes of laughter and memories of family breakfasts. As he sat at their usual table, Jonah's stomach tied itself into knots. Would today be different? The thought of meeting his mother, of peeling back layers long protected by silence, brought a sense of foreboding. When she arrived, her warm smile contrasted with his trepidation. As they exchanged pleasantries, Jonah's mind raced, desperately formulating the right approach. "Mom, thanks for meeting me," he began, his voice shaky but resolute. "I know this is difficult for both of us." She nodded, her eyes tightening slightly. "I didn't think you'd ever want to broach these topics." The cut of her words stung more than he expected. "The past is difficult, but I need clarity. Can we start with the trust fund?" A sigh escaped her lips. It was laden with the weight of years steeped in avoidance. "Jonah, it's complicated. Your father and I created it hoping to provide security for you and Claire. But well, life happened." Life happened? Jonah felt a surge of frustration rise within him. "Is that how you see it? That we were just supposed to wait for things to improve?" Her gaze shifted, and he could see the flicker of guilt. It wasn't as simple as that. There were decisions made out of love, out of fear. Fear? Jonah pressed, leaning forward, words quickening. Fear of what? What could possibly be so catastrophic that you wouldn't talk to your children about it? Whatever it is, it affects all of us. It was my way of protecting you both, she countered defensively. I didn't want you two to struggle under the weight of our choices. Jonah shook his head, battling an urge to dampen the fire within him. But not talking about it that only led to more struggle. I feel as if I've been navigating in the dark. As they spoke, Jonah saw his mother's walls begin to crumble. But with each revelation she shared, fresh waves of pain surfaced. Her voice trembled as she spoke about misconstrued intentions, mounting debts, and a struggle for control that had taken root in secrecy. Each confession stripped away layers of misunderstanding he had carried for years. In that moment he realized the truth held more pain than he had anticipated. I've spent so much time trying to forge my own identity, thinking I was apart from this. Jonah's voice cracked, vulnerability settling in as raw emotions spilled forth. But maybe I've been fighting for a family that never quite existed. The air thickened with unspoken admissions, and the quiet that followed stung. Jonah could feel the gravity of their conversation. Walls were crumbling, but clarity still felt impossibly far away. Just as Jonah prepared to push for deeper truths, his phone buzzed on the table, a notification that jolted him from the moment. Claire's name flashed across the screen, and confusion bubbled up within him. Jonah hadn't thought about her role in this tumultuous family revelation. That's Claire, he breathed, torn between the weight of this conversation and not wanting to close the door on his sister's involvement. Maybe this is another piece of the puzzle. His mother's expression darkened, and Jonah immediately sensed an appropriate moment was slipping away. With urgency propelling him, he opted for a direction that could absorb both the revelations they'd just encountered and the unexpected twist his sister's involvement promised. "Mom," he said, a newfound determination lacing his tone, "I need you to be honest with me. Not just about the trust fund but everything. Whatever we uncover, we have to do it together. The time for half-truths is over." As they settled into a silence laden with anticipation, Jonah felt the walls of their past begin to shift, uncovering the very essence of familial ties built on both neglect and resilience. What he didn't know yet was how deep this rabbit hole would go, one that could unravel each of their lives entirely. But there would be no turning back now. The next revelation awaited. Jonah's heartbeat reverberated in his ears as he glanced at his phone. What could Claire possibly want at this moment, amid such revelations? Little did he know, her message would unsettle the fragile peace he had just begun to establish with his mother. He opted to read the message discreetly, and as he did, an icy grip tightened around his chest. "Hey Jonah, I bought a car today. I hope you don't mind. Mom said she would help me with payments. Is that okay?" The word stung far more than he had anticipated. His initial thought was one of disbelief. Had she really made such a significant purchase without consulting him? Claire had always been impulsive, but this felt like a betrayal far deeper than a mere financial decision. Jonah's mind swirled with implications. Did she understand the precariousness of their family finances? Did their mother hide this from him as well? Is everything okay? His mother interrupted his contemplation, a frown etching her features. The concern in her voice wrestled with his irritation. "This might be part of the problem, Mom," Jonah replied with a tight jaw. He gestured toward the screen. "Claire just made a big financial decision based on what you told her about our situation. She needs to be part of this conversation." His mother's brow furrowed deeper, carving lines of worry across her forehead. "She's only doing what she thinks is best, Jonah. You know her well enough to understand that her heart is in the right place." "Her heart?" Jonah snapped, frustration bubbling over. "Mom, we're all in a tight spot. I need you to be honest with us both. You've been shielding us from reality for too long. It's not just about protecting your kids, but preparing them for the truth." The silence between them was thick, charged with unspoken grievances and veiled truths. Jonah's determination began to morph into a painful realization. They had all been navigating their predicaments on shaky ground. Every decision his mother had made to protect them only deepened the pitfalls they faced. "Let us call her," Jonah declared, taking control as anxiety coursed through him. He needed to re-establish lines of communication. "She deserves to be here when we dissect this mess." His mother hesitated, her eyes downward. A part of Jonah wanted to soften his approach, to comfort her and reassure her that he understood her intentions. But his greater instinct shouted for clarity. They were at a crossroads. Just as he dialed Claire's number, Jonah's mind lingered on the contours of his family's dysfunction. Claire's expenses would stretch his patience further, especially given the uncertainty around the trust fund. In a way, he felt sad that instead of being elated about Claire's new car, he was worried about their family's financial future. When Claire answered, her voice was bright but puzzled. "Hey Jonah. What's up?" "We need to talk," he replied, trying to keep his tone even despite the turmoil swirling inside him. You made a big purchase and it's crucial that we address it together. Can you come meet us? Of course. What's wrong? Jonah glanced at his mother, who was carefully observing his every move. Just we need clarity as a family. As he ended the call, Jonah's mind turned to the road ahead. The upcoming confrontation might unveil even more startling revelations than he anticipated. This was not merely about the car, it was about repeated mistakes, buried secrets, and navigation through uncertainty. His mother took a deep breath, a sad knowing settling between them. Are we doing the right thing? We have to, Jonah affirmed, heart aching with determination. This is the only way we can truly start to heal. We can't move forward without understanding where we stand. They lapsed back into silence again, both waiting for the storm of truths to unfold. Jonah felt the pendulum swing of hope and fear, uncovering not only his sister's choices but also the entire family's long-hidden dynamics. And just as they appeared poised to take that leap, the door swung open, and Claire stepped through with an air of naive enthusiasm, blissfully unaware of the gravity of the impending revelations. The momentary glimmer of hope reminded Jonah that familiarity could be both a comfort and a curse. He would soon learn that each of them would contribute to unwinding a far more complex tapestry than any of them could have envisioned, a tapestry woven with familial scars and unexpected truths that had shaped their lives in unforeseen ways. Jonah, Claire called out, scanning their expressions. What's going on? And as Jonah looked at his sister, the question hung in the air, a potential unraveling waiting to begin. Jonah's heart raced as Claire stood before him, her presence both familiar and jarring in this moment fraught with tension. The cafe that once buzzed with laughter now felt like an arena, and he was poised for a showdown. Strengthening himself with resolve, he opened his mouth to speak. Claire, we need to talk about your new car, Jonah stated, aiming for a tone that embodied calm control while battling the waves of nervousness within him. He gestured toward their mother, whose curious eyes remained glued on her daughter. What about my car? Claire replied, an edge creeping into her voice, confusion swirling in her expression. Jonah hurried to step in before emotions surged. We just learned some things about our family's finances, specifically a trust fund our great-uncle created. This isn't just about whether you can afford a car, Claire. It's about understanding our collective financial future and breaking the cycle of secrecy that has trapped Mom, you and me. Her eyebrows knitted together, indicating a mix of defiance and confusion. You're saying a car purchase threatens our future? No, not directly, but it reflects deeper issues. We're navigating this family history that has kept us all disconnected from accountability. Understanding the trust could remedy our financial strife, but only if we approach it collaboratively. Claire shifted her weight, uncertainty evident as she crossed her arms. Jonah could see her heart was still in an emotional tie with the impulsive purchase, indicative of her desire for independence. Claire, we've been clinging to the hope of individual success, while neglecting the importance of unity. Our decisions affect each other, especially now, Jonah pressed. By sharing our burden, we can pivot to stability. Their mother chimed in, her voice soft yet cracking with vulnerability. I never intended for you both to struggle like this. I thought shielding you from financial burdens meant protecting you from pain, but I see now how it only drove us apart. Jonah took a step closer to Claire, wanting her to hear the sincerity in his voice. We're not just siblings tethered together out of obligation. We have the potential to be a trio that leverages our combined strengths to forge a stronger future. I need you to be part of this dialogue too. Slowly, the knots in Claire's expression unfurled. I can see that now, Jonah. But I was just trying to prove to everyone that I can handle my life on my terms. Her gaze shifted between her brother and mother, recognition dawning of her own part in the family's misguided legacy. Jonah could feel a magnetic force drawing the three of them closer. A transformation was beginning. Understanding our history allows us to amend our present. Let us face it together. Can we commit to exploring this trust fund? It may lead us to the answers we need for healing and financial foothold. Their mother nodded, and in that moment, Jonah felt an overwhelming sense of solidarity. Okay, Claire surrendered. Let us figure out what these family secrets are really about. I don't want to dodge our responsibilities any longer. And with that, a newfound conviction surged between them. Jonah's period of soul-searching dissolved in a haze of clarity, Each member of the family stood united, ready to face the buried truths that tethered them to a painful past. They had all individually stuttered in their attempts at independence. Now it was time to reclaim their familial commitment. Jonah took a deep breath. Let us start with Mom. The unsteady affection in his mother's eyes inspired him. Perhaps together, they could forge a narrative of resilience rather than struggle. As they delved into discussions, the cafe around them faded away. Each word shared held the promise of openness and the potential for healing. Revelation spilled new light on their family dynamics. As the day unfolded, Jonah, Claire, and their mother began to reveal long-buried narratives, unearthing not just financial truths but emotional connections that had been dormant, mistakes that had formed the foundation of their choices. Claire's impulsive car purchase, once a source of tension, transformed into an impulse, revealing a yearning for freedom, which they now explored collectively. Jonah left that cafe with a renewed sense of clarity, not just about finances, but about the relationship he had with his family. The unfolding of trust created a layer of understanding that none of them expected. Each moment was filled with the power of shared narratives, finally establishing what success meant to them. They emerged from the past, armed with an understanding that connections require tending, and that true independence lies not in solitary struggles but in cohesive bonds, each rooting for the other's success. Jonah smiled as he looked to his sister and mother. They had traversed the storm together, and out of that chaos emerged a commitment to motion forward, not only financially, but as a unified family. Now it was time to build a foundation not just of material stability, but of emotional fortitude that would carry them through any storm. You need to subscribe now to join us on this journey of profound emotional stories that can empower your life. Leave a like now to show your support, and help us feed the algorithm so we can continue delivering these transformational narratives. Comment below with your thoughts. Let us know how the journey of Jonah and his family resonated with you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this exceptional conclusion. It could inspire someone to change their entire perspective on family and finances.